So, in typical BASSFZz fashion, I am morally obligated to upload a video on my birthday. I'm not really even entirely sure how this trend started. Well, this, I guess you call it whatever. How this started, but, I gotta do it. So, this is a video I've been sitting on for a couple of days now, actually, and, it's been really frustrating me quite a bit. For multiple reasons we'll get into you'll see when we get into it. Spanish, I don't know if this young lady, I don't know if she's young, but her YouTube channel is called God is Gray. And I guess the best way to describe it is she's a liberal Christian. And liberal Christians really irk me, because a lot of the time, they spend a good deal of their time focusing more on their feelings, rather than on standards, rather than on virtue, rather than personal growth and trying to become better. And you guys will kind of see, like, this video that she made really frustrates me because the total lack of thought and consideration for what she is saying just drives me up the wall, and it's a really good example because I've talked about this on my channel for quite a period, of time now, but we're going to really get into it. I'm going to show you guys, point by point exactly why this irks me. So this video, God is Great, this lady is talking about how she is pregnant and she is not married. And the title of her video is, That's Okay. It's like, no, nigga, that shit is not okay. And we're going to discuss exactly why it is not okay. So, by all means, take us away. I'm going to skip the first couple of points in her video because she's shilling her podcast. I'm not because I hate her podcast. I don't really hate her at all, actually. It's just, there's no reason to put her shill here when we're responding to her points. She'll take us away.
So I am pregnant. I am 5 months along with 4 months to go. I'm gonna try to show you guys. I hear Brenda's got a baby. So let's start with my reaction. To be transparent with you guys, I've been in a relationship for over 2 years, but now in retrospect, when I look at it, I realize I never wanted to label it or make it official or call him my boyfriend because I've been so hurt by men in the past. I've been cheated on, I've been mistreated, so I realized that just kind of keeping someone at arm's length and being like, you're my best friend, we are romantic, but that's it, felt more comfortable and safe than opening myself up to the vulnerability of saying, I am with someone, this is my partner.
Allow me to pause right now, see? Now, I've had a whole video called, The Ghost of Her Past, where I have specifically talked about this problem that a lot of young men have to face. And I'm not sure if a lot of women have to face it. I haven't talked to very many women who complain about this element of men. But a lot of guys will come along and they'll try to have relationships with women and they find out that they can't. Not because they're terrible people, not because they did anything wrong, but because some dickhead from Cancun, wherever he came from, I don't know, Jamaica, I don't know, Sacramento, I don't know, Toronto, whoever this guy was, he comes along and he cheats on her, he abuses her, he does X, Y, and Z, he harms her, and now you have to suffer. Now you have to prove yourself worthy. Not because you did anything wrong, but because someone else did. And this happens a lot with dating. And this is actually, I made another video. Now I'm shilling myself out, called Does Dating Work? Where I really stop and I think, like, is dating really helping us find good, strong, and tight relationships? Because here we have this young lady, and we have a lot of problems here. Number one, we have a woman who's reluctant to commit to this person, or at least label it or whatever, or really like be intimate and vulnerable with this man that she's with, not because of his own actions, but because of the actions of someone else. A lot of people say the whole point of dating, the whole point of having bad relationships is to learn and grow and apply those lessons to your new relationships. Except here, she's not learning. She's not growing. She's upset. She's sad. She's keeping this man at arm's length, again, not because of his own actions, but the actions of someone else. Now, what is the real problem here? Because this is just like a personal pet peeve, right? But one of the more damaging problems here is her child now, because her child is not going to be able to see how a functioning relationship works. The relationship example that she is here now, actually, well, I'll correct myself in a second, but let's say that the relationship continues as this way. What is her child going to see? The relationship between men and women. that men can't be trusted. I have to keep men at a distance because he might hurt me. It's not I have to find a good person to trust and commit to. It's I gotta keep everyone at arm's length because some harm might fall upon me. That's the legacy her child could receive because of her lack of an ability to be open and vulnerable to a guy who's really good. And I don't know this guy. I don't know. This guy, he might be a right dickhead. I don't know. He might be the Jon Snow of our generation. I really don't know. But the problem is, again, this guy is being kept at arm's length, not because of his own actions, but the actions of other people. And that irks me. But like I said, more importantly, the life of her child, the way that she's going to see relationships between men and women is one of an antagonism, that men are a danger to women's emotional health as well as physical. She'll probably figure that out, but somehow, some way, watching the news, I don't know. Continue.
We were just best friends without a label. So 2 years are going by. We are in love with each other. We've professed our love. We have an amazing relationship. And
so the guy is basically Jon Snow. I don't know. Or she could just be saying that just, for the YouTube views, and she doesn't want to look bad. I don't know. I'm going to take her at her word. Say that they have an amazing relationship. Everything is great. Everything is good. But then that just kind of begs the question, if everything is great and everything is good, why don't you just date him? Why don't you just call him your boyfriend, your fiance, marry him? Why not just do all of that? That's a question I would pose to anyone out there who's saying they have this friends with benefits, but I can't commit to them. Why? Because they don't get hurt. I'm telling you, here's the thing, man. If you find good people to be with, you're not going to get hurt. It's just that simple. And the whole point of vetting people, the whole point of what dating is vetting out the bad people from the good people. That's the whole point. If you had a bunch of bad relationships, if you've committed to them for long periods of time, you have failed miserably. You have defeated the very purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. And just for the people out there who haven't figured that out yet, continue.
Finally, it was getting to the point where we were like, should we be together for real? While we were in the process of deciding, I woke up one morning, these were sore, and my period was late. I do want to make a whole video about this because I am committed to sex education. I want you guys to understand how I was taken by surprise, how you can avoid that if you are not ready to have a child.
Yeah, which is actually really peculiar. I mean, for two fronts. One, she's committed to sexual education and somehow she was surprised. You would think that someone who would study sexual education would not be shocked by this, but forgetting her negligence. I mean, one of the things that really kind of gets me is the fact that any woman could be surprised, right? Because as it turns out, which is what I learned, actually kind of recently, it was actually kind of funny, was that humans actually can't get pregnant whenever they want. Like, human females can only get pregnant when they're ovulating. And so, like a lot of people will probably be all like, duh. Like, a lot of people will be like, oh, of course, there's like, the fuck? But then it's like this. If this shit is such common knowledge, right? Like, bear with me, viewer. Like, if you know that humans can only get pregnant when the human female is ovulating, why the fuck are so many accidents happening? If this shit is just straight common knowledge, how does anyone get taken by surprise when they end up pregnant? So I don't know. Maybe it's just pure negligence, or maybe it's pure ignorance. Maybe a lot of people honestly don't know how the human body works and how pregnancy works and ovulation and everything. I would imagine that women, more than anyone else, I mean, considering the fact that it's their body, would have much more of an invested interest in figuring out how that shit works. But the fact that she somehow is taken aback by this bothers me a lot. Because that means that she was having sex, but she was just having unprotected sex as well, which is weird because I don't understand why she would be having unprotected sex as a Christian woman who is not married. I mean, that alone, that by itself is very, very peculiar. Just on its face, you'd imagine that as a Christian, they of all people, I mean, a lot of Christians are bad at being Christians, but I mean, at the very least, you would expect them of all people to at least, have some type of moral righteousness when it comes to sexual sins and having sex outside of marriage. I mean, you would think that she would be the last person to be taken aback, let alone having sex. But again, I want to highlight this for a lot of young ladies. You should never be surprised when you end up pregnant. Like, I get, accidents happen, you can be oblivious, but again, you should understand how sex works if you're going to be participating in it. I mean, that just seems simple and obvious enough to me. But the fact remains, this woman here, again, is somehow surprised, as if she didn't know how her body works. Like that's weird to me. Again, as a sexual educator, how are you, of all people, taken aback by this? It's just off.
But for me, I woke up, I took a pregnancy test, and I put it aside. I was like, that can't actually be what's happening. I completely forget about it. I'm doing my makeup in the mirror, and I look down, and the plus side is on it. My immediate reaction was to burst into tears.
So here I have another issue with this one as well. Your immediate reaction to finding out that you're pregnant should never be fear or terror or sadness or disappointment. Like, you have the opportunity to make a new person. You're about to bring a new human being into the world. And if your reply to me is that you're not ready for this responsibility, again, I must ask, why are you having sex? I'm not saying, I gotta make this clear. I'm not saying that every time you have sex, you have to do it with the clear intent to, like, make people. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you should understand that you can make people. And there are so many human beings that exist now on just complete fucking accident because of this negligent shit right here. I know I'm really passionate about this stuff because, like, I see the effects of growing up in a broken home without your father or with a stressed out mother. I've talked to children like this on a regular basis when I go to work. I've had to deal with them. They've stressed me out. They've been acting up. Some of the stories they tell, I mean, the whole 9 yards. I see the effects, and this is why this shit pisses me off so much, that this keeps happening, and there's no one out here to put their foot down and say, listen, it's not about safe sex, man. It's not just about teaching people how to have safe sex, but it's about, what are you doing it for? What are your motivations? Because if you're not trying to have children, if you don't want children with this person, right, you should never be having sex with them. And I mean never. I mean, not even just for pleasure, not even just to feel good. Why? Because guess what? If the condom breaks, if you're in that 1 percentile of birth control not working, IUD fails, anything fails, guess what? You're with somebody that you don't fucking like for a long time. That's why you gotta think about this stuff, man. So if you have sex with people that you like and want to have children with, I'm not saying you gotta have children with them right then, but if something does happen, at the very least, it's with a responsible woman or a responsible man. It's with a good person. You like the individual. And of course, preferably, which should go without saying, you should be married prior to all this anyway, prior to. But at the very least, if it's with good people, you should never cry about it. You'll be like, oh man, I'm pregnant. But fuck it. I mean, Frank's a good guy. Oh man, I'm pregnant. You know, Jeremiah's got my back. It should always be like that. Why? Because you thought about what could happen if you had sex with this person. And this negligence here is not something that should be, it's not as okay. Like, the title of this video should not be, that's okay. It should be, no, I fucked up. I messed up. I should have considered this happening without me, when I'm having unprotected sex, or the condom could have broke, wherever it happened. Anyhow, she's gonna continue. I'm ranting, but I feel like this shit needs to be said, man. I don't think enough people are saying it. She'll continue.
Like I said, I wasn't in a committed relationship. I had no idea how my partner would react, and I did not feel ready for this.
That's the shit I don't like, man. You should always be aware of what your partner wants in terms of children and sex and sexuality. I'm never going to put my dick inside a woman that doesn't want children. Never. Never. That's a deal breaker. That's game, set, match. Why? Because either one, she'll kill my child if she gets an abortion. That's just game over. Or she'll kill my fetus. For all those out there, for all those sensitive people out there. She'll kill my fetus. She won't kill my child. As if there's a bloody difference, huh? So she'll either get an abortion because she didn't want it, or the child's going to grow up with a mom that never wanted them. And I don't want my children to be in an environment with someone that dislikes them, that feels like they ruin their lives or hurt them in some way. So that's another thing. And here's the thing. If you guys are both on the same page, guess what? I don't want children. You don't want children? Okay, vasectomy, IUD, birth control. We've got all these different things, man. Come on. There's no reason for anyone to think about, I don't want children, to be having sex without a vasectomy. If you're a man. No reason. None. There's nothing stopping you. No reason. Same thing with women, with all the different birth control forms that women have. Holy crap. It's a bit excessive, honestly. Like, it really is. But yeah, but more importantly than that, but the lack of forethought of the person's character. Because again, You shouldn't be bringing children in this world with such uncertainty. If you're sitting here like, I don't know if he's going to want to take care of his kid. Excuse me? What? Why are you with this man who doesn't have enough responsibility, moral righteousness to be in his kid's life? Why is that even a worry? If I ever had sex with a woman, no woman should ever wonder if I'm going to try to be there for my children. What the fuck? Why would you even think that? Why are you having sex with someone if you cannot guarantee that they're going to be committed to your children? Again, that's something she didn't consider. I don't understand why she's having sex without ever considering or thinking about this stuff. Really don't. As a young Christian woman, I really don't get it. I could get it if you had like no moral foundation at all. But you're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to understand why sexual exclusivity is an important thing. Why you're supposed to be married. Why these things are important. The failure... We'll talk about that later. Continue.
So the first thing I do is call my best friend Haven. We're on the phone, I'm sobbing, and I'm saying, no, no! And she's going, yes, yes, this is good, this is beautiful. The reason I was sobbing came down to money and my relationship. And I have to admit, as much as I'm in support of different kinds of relationships and dynamics, this is why people encourage you to be married before having sex.
She's not wrong as to how she understands that fully, well, and completely, and she still had sex outside of marriage is beyond me.
It's because if you do not have a stable, steady dynamic and you are still being sexually active, you are running the risk of getting pregnant and being in a sticky situation. Besides abstinence, there is no birth control that is 100% guaranteed. So this was a moment that I had to face the music of my decision. I'm a very independent person, so immediately my wheels start spinning. I'm thinking, if he doesn't want to be a part of it, how am I going to support this child on my own?
Which, once again, that shouldn't be a thought in your head. If you're with this guy consistently for 2 years, his character as a human being should be known to you. The fact that you don't know it means that apparently you guys are not as close or as intimate as you probably should be, despite the fact that you're having sex. You should never be confused, especially with someone you've known for 2 bloody years, whether or not they'll be committed to your children. And you absolutely, most certainly, should not be having sex with people if you don't think they'll commit to their children.
And I was worried about what you guys would think if the God is Great community would support me through this crazy, beautiful life change. And with that, I have to point out how wild it is that becoming pregnant could be, in the Christian community, an immediate source of shame and fear.
No. Let's call it what it is. Let's label it correctly. It's not getting pregnant that's the issue. It's the context of which you got pregnant. You got pregnant not even in a committed relationship. The relationship, was consistent but not committed, apparently, based on what you said. The Christian community don't shame you because you got pregnant. They shame you because you got pregnant with someone that's not your husband outside of a marriage. Let's call it what it is. And the problem here, and you're probably thinking I'm over here, grasping at straws or being nitpicky. But no, this point here is oftentimes used to demonize Christians, like they've just lost their fucking mind, like they're just crazy dickheads who just want shame. No, the reason why acts are shameful is because it brings harm upon people. And being raised without your father by a mom who didn't want you harms you. That's why it's a problem. That's why it's shameful. That's why it's an issue.
I didn't feel shame, but yes, I felt fear about how some people in the religious community would react to this news. Would people call me a Jezebel? Would they accuse me of not being a real Christian? My heart goes out to any of you who have experienced that sort of judgment in such a beautiful time.
Man, listen, man, let's be real, man. I don't care two flip Sundays about judgment and your feelings are being hurt. I don't care nothing about your feelings, man. What about your baby's feelings? Let's talk about their feelings. You think your children want to grow up in an environment wondering why their dad left them? Why their dad doesn't care? You want to talk about feelings and being judged? Your feelings are hurt because some Christian somewhere called you a Jezebel? What about growing up without getting enough food to eat in a bad, low economic environment? What about that? We want to talk about people's feelings. Let's talk about feelings then. Let's talk about these children's feelings then. Come on. Like, I don't care if the Christian community is a bunch of meanie heads who are going to shame you for having a bunch of sex. The problem is, when you get pregnant, is that father going to be there? Do you even want the child? That's another thing. You think not wanting your kid isn't going to have an effect on them? Come on. You know what I mean? Like, like the focus is just on the wrong thing. Who cares about the feelings of strangers? Your primary concern should be, how's my child going to feel? How am I going to raise them? What environment are they going to grow up in? That's the real thing that should be on your mind. Not being called bloody Jezebel by some people on the internet. That is the least of your worries, or at least it should be, honestly.
Being pregnant is so divine and so incredible. I felt this person kicking inside of me. I've heard their heartbeats. It's just such a beautiful thing, such a time for celebration. As for the question, am I getting married right now? The answer is no. This is actually something I take very seriously. If and when I do that, I'm gonna do it because I mean it. Not because outside people are telling me that I should fear hell or condemnation and that I need to run down the aisle and amend this sin before it's too late. For me, I am not lacking in peace. I do not feel separate from God just because I am not ready to make that earnest vow. I'm not going to take on any shame for that.
Again, the concern is wrong. The concern is on your ego. The concern is on your feelings. Your concern is on being popular or being accepted. And honestly, at this point, you should be far beyond that, because now you're about to bring another human into this world, and you got to teach them wrong from right. You got to give them love and a sense of identity. You got to teach them what the value of their existence is. And you being stuck on the fact that someone is going to say something mean to you is just not where your mind should be at, my friend. It just really isn't. So that's the end of her video, and subsequently, the end of mine. The final thoughts is, I'm not getting on this woman for having sex. Listen, like, that's not the issue at all. We all fall short of the glory of the Lord. You know, we're all gonna make mistakes. We're all gonna mess up. You know, one of the most important things about Christianity that is lost a lot of the time is the forgiveness, is to striving to become better. That's the whole point. You know, at least as I've always understood it, as I've always known it to be. The whole point is you're going to mess up. You're not going to be the greatest all the time. You know, there's going to be some things you struggle with. But what's important is to know that, you know, God's got your back and he's going to forgive you and he's going to let you try again. He's going to let you move forward. That's what I've always gotten. But my concern here is not just the negligence of not understanding, again, as a sexual educator, how ironic that is, that you somehow were surprised that you got pregnant. But more importantly than that, is your thoughts somehow in this video is focused on your ego. And that's really all this was an ego trip. Was just you justifying your actions. Was just you saying that you're not going to feel bad or you don't want people to be mean to you on the internet. And it's like, no, man, you've got bigger fish to fry. You need to figure out, one, why you don't want to be in a committed relationship. That's number one. You need to, two, figure out how is your son going to figure out what's the relationship between men and women now when you're in this type of relationship here, where you've yet to even refer to this man as your boyfriend, or, you know, how is that going to be? How are you going to teach him how to navigate and date in relationships like that? You know, like, that's what your concern needs to be. Listen, here's the thing. I think she kind of lucked out here that she's with this guy and he might be a good guy. She could be saying it for the camera. I don't think she is. I'll take her at face value. Maybe he's Jon Snow. But the problem is, you shouldn't be working on these maybes. Because even she herself in her video was like, I don't know if he wanted to commit. As a young lady, that should never fucking be a thought in your mind. You should never have to question whether a man's going to commit to your children if you're having sex with him. You have already failed them. And even if he does end up committing, I mean, that's a great thing, but you failed your children just on the face of it. And there's not enough people, I think, with this hard-edged line to say, listen, too many people Too many children are being born in these awful, terrible situations. And growing up without your father is very damaging and very harmful. We want to talk about all this shit that's harmful to girls. Beachbody Ready, all the ads, all the Barbie, all the bullshit. We want to talk about all of that. Let's talk about this. Not having your dad in your life is one of the most harmful things that can happen to any child. And these types of situations need to be fucking stamped out. Someone needs to put their foot down and say, listen, if you're going to be having sex, you need to understand, 1, what the point of it is, 2, what can happen, and 3, more than anything else, your motivations. Why are you having sex? Are you having sex to tighten this bond and to be more intimate? If that's the case, absolutely, you should do it. But if you're having sex as an activity, if you're having sex as a formality, as that's just what boys and girls do in relationships, you guys shouldn't be touching each other, legitimately, because the risk is too big. You're playing with making people, and that's not me being facetious. That's literally the function of sex. And you can tell me today, tomorrow, next week, sex is for pleasure, sex is for fun, blah, blah, blah. You can tell me, listen, you can read a comic book for fun. You can read a book for fun. You can play video games for fun. You can make art pieces for fun. You can drink orange juice for fun. There's so many other things you can do for fun. But you want to take the primordial creation of human beings as fun? Come on, man. You're talking about making people. That's not some shit you should just do for fun. Especially not with people that you don't even think could be committed to you. Have sex with people that you like. Have sex with good people. Have sex with reasonable people. Have sex with people, if you get pregnant, you know they're going to be there for you. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you got to be married. I really do think that you should be. I'm not even being as hard-edged as saying, no, be abstinent. Only have sex with your husband. I'm not even saying that. What I am saying is, be with good fucking people. Be with morally uprighteous people. Be with people who are going to be there for you. Don't fuck around with people who don't like you. That's what I'm saying. With that being said, man, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. And shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. As always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.